O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Today, Brother N.C. Krishna ji will be continuing Mahatma letters to AP SINNET number 82-83, edited by Barker, and chronological letter number 113 and 114. Now, I would like to introduce very briefly Brother Krishna ji is a long-standing member of Theosophical Society. He is a dedicated Theosophist. Now he is a national lecturer of Indian Theosophical Society and international speaker of Adyar Theosophical Society. Now I request Brother Krishna ji, please enlighten us by your presentation. Brother Krishna ji.
Yeah. Dear brothers, oh, am I audible? Yeah, it's there. Dear brothers,
Yes.
We have stopped at the point where Lord Ripon had come in. So what Master says that the entry of Lord Ripon and his counselors, they are perhaps thinking that they will produce excellent results, but Master says nothing great might happen, nothing beneficial would happen to India as such. So Master says to AP SINNET, you are a friend and a brother. You are a friend and a brother. You are the only one in the English race to whom I have warmth and sincere affection. We have been corresponding for quite some time, and so this is what Master has to say to Mr. SINNET. Master is saying again, take care. Don't reject my warning, which I am permitted to give you. Don't take the warning lightly. You are not going to fall into a ditch as you are thinking. You are not going to fall into a ditch, but you will fall into an abyss which is getting ready for you. A ditch is a small thing. When abyss is something which we will not be able to estimate the depth of it. Agad, as we call it in Sanskrit. Abyss. So, Master is saying that. So, better be careful as to what you are going to fall into. Now, Master is saying how an honest Englishman, on what are the grounds he can take, what are the arguments he can take to support the farmers or oppose the bill, the Bengal Rent Bill. So when we see the Bengal Rent Bill, the landlords who have promised the farmers a lot of things, concessions, kind judgment, etc., have not fulfilled their agreements. So it has not given any rights, any special rights to farmers. This is what Master KH is telling Mr. AP SINNET, because nothing really has happened on the front of the agreement, which was a farce, legal farce, he said sometime back, the last week when we said. So there was an agreement, but then that agreement has not been put in place. So the perpetual settlement agreement is not enforceable, says Master KH. So there is a perpetual settlement agreement which is not enforceable. So in this light, in these circumstances, Master feels that SINNET can support the farmers and oppose the bill. And one more thing he says, there are heavy flaws in the present Bengal rent bill. There were mistakes in the old system too, the older law too. But Master says, I will not get into the details of the defects which are there in the older system and the new system, etc., etc. The faults are such, Master says, unless they are modified or corrected, you, that means SINNET, can object, and you have grounds to object, and you will have a right to object. This is what Master is saying to Mr. SINNET. He's only saying on what grounds he can fight the bill and support the farmers. You can analyze the bill. Master says you can analyze the bill, and do not ask for withdrawal of the bill. Don't ask for withdrawal of the bill. Analyze the bill for its defects. So you can freely promise to farmers, because this is the background with which you are going to work. You can easily, freely promise to farmers and accept the investment. This is what he was saying. So Master says, I am not here to influence you to think this way or that way. I'm not there to force you to take a decision. Some of the claims of landowners are so lopsided. He says lopsided, and no honest man can ever support them. All that Master is asking is to work for the benefit of our country, that is India, and not to overlook blindly the ugly contents of the bill. Taking into consideration the real nature of the situation and the possibility of good results ensuing, results could be a product of the future. Think about those who are suffering, says Master, the little farmers, the small farmers, not the big farmers who have been enjoying the right of cultivating for 12 years or so. The smaller farmers are suffering. So Master is talking about them. Master says in a few days' time, you may get a formal proposal of investment for your paper. Think over it. When the proposal comes to you, think over it, says the Master, because it has got a rider that the Bihari riots or Bihari people who were wanting to invest 1,50,000, they also wanted Mr. SINNET to support them and oppose the bill. So think over it, says the Master. Do not get influenced by what I need or desire. I may need you to do something, I may desire that you should do this, but don't have to strictly go by what I want. If you believe the offer made is not suiting the European notions, Europeans' ideas, refuse it outright, and don't accept it. Reject it without any hesitation. This is what Master is telling Mr. SINNET. Then, in that event, I will bid you a sad, though ever grateful and friendly farewell. So we'll have to separate because we're not going to work together. I don't expect you to see everything from my point of view. This is something which is saying, giving a lot of freedom to the person to decide on his own. I don't expect you to see everything from my point of view, says the Master. So there are a lot of things here which we can take home. See, they don't force you to behave in such a way. They want you to be morally and ethically right. But what is ethical, what is moral, has to be decided by the individual himself. So this is something which you have to take out of this line. Master says, you look without, I see within. I know what will happen as I can foresee the future, whereas you see what is visible to you. Master says, this is not a time to be sentimental. Don't attach any importance of sentiment and, oh yes, I've been traveling with him for quite some time, I need to listen to him and things like that. Don't have that sentiment. Don't have to be sentimental, says Master. Master says he will do all that is within his powers as permitted by Chauhan. He will do all that is possible, which are within his powers as permitted by Chauhan, to save the country from its misery and work for the poor farmers. And then there is another important sentence here. We can work only with those who can work with us, says the Master. We can work only with those who can work with us, says the Master. Master says, SINNET may not understand, may not know the limitations under which Master himself is functioning. So, in case you are not agreeing for the proposal of investment, I am bound by the higher authority. He says actually him in capitals, but I take it as the higher authority, the person or the superior authority over him, who will guide Mahachohan and people even above him. And so I can only part ways in a friendly way. So I will not be able to continue my association with you, and I would part my way. If the rental bill had it not been accompanied by the Ilbert bill, you know, we talked about the Ilbert bill where the Indian judges were authorized to try the Europeans. So had it not been accompanied by Ilbert bill and that contempt case of Surendro, then I would have asked you to refuse the offer straight away. Right now, Master says, I am powerless and I'm caught between helping my mother country and to continue our future relationship. For once, I'm not able to decide or choose, says the Master, which is very rare because they know quite clearly what they should be doing. But he's just saying this to assuage the feelings of Mr. SINNET. The Master KH says, you should decide what to do. If this letter happens to be the last one between us, I would beg you to recall the message I have sent through HVB to Simla regarding Lord Ripon. It is for your sake and not for my sake that you should recall the message. It's not for me. It's for your sake that you should recall the message. And there he was talking about Ripon actually looking at Rome and not looking at the top management which functions from UK. So this is what he had sent a message to SINNET through Madam Blavatsky at Simla. Well, they were at Simla. Master says, my best wishes to you, your wife, and your son. And he's saying further that the book published by you, which is the Esoteric Buddhism, there are some undetectable, unnoticeable mistakes and omissions. The book is the right exposition, says the Master. It is well written, though it is not still complete and exhaustive as far as all the details of the occult doctrines are concerned. So the book has no fundamental mistakes, but there are some unnoticeable mistakes, he says. The Master talks about Mr. Hume, he's a close friend of Mr. SINNET. The article Chela, which appeared in the Theosophist written by S.K. Chari, a senior member, proves that the theory held by Mr. Hume is wrong and he has mistaken understanding of what Chela is. So we may feel both M and I in this light of what is now advised. He says, both me and M, you may feel, are contradicting each other. He was speaking of the inner and I of the outer. He was speaking of the inner round. I was speaking of the outer round. So we'll talk about this inner and outer if the time permits later on, but I'll go further. And there are many more things that you have to learn. You have learned few things, but there are many more things that you have to learn, and that you may do learning part of it in future, says Master KH. You will not be able to comprehend, understand the entire process of observation of these rounds until you have mastered the mathematical progression of the inner and the outer rounds. So it's a complicated subject. So he's saying, you have mentioned it rather casually in your letter, and he's saying it's not easy for you to understand, comprehend the entire process of observation until you have mastered the mathematical progression of the inner and the outer rounds, and learn all about the specific differences between the seven globes. He's talking about that. This is what Master is saying to Mr. SINNET. Master remarks about what Mr. Massey, M-A-S-S-E-Y, had to talk about God. Mr. Massey says, we have no God. Master says he's right. Master says he applies the name of God to an extra cosmical and mistaken identity. So we know nothing of that sort. So he's right that way. We don't know anything about this extra cosmical figure. Actually, each man has to find his own God within himself, says the Master. Actually, each man has to find his own God within himself, in his own personal and at the same time, the impersonal Avalokiteshvara. This is the term which is there used in the letter. Each man has to find his own God within himself, in his own personal and at the same time, the impersonal Avalokiteshvara. Master says, now, farewell. It is decided that we will not correspond anymore. Master is asking SINNET to remember him as the same sincere person, who had good feelings for him, that is SINNET. Master assures he will always remember SINNET with a lot of love and affection. So, shall we quickly see what is inner and outer, though it's not part of the letter?
Yes, sir.
Where
Yes,
lies
sir.
the difference between the inner rounds and the outer rounds? I'm just touching on it very briefly. I'm not going into the details. Where lies the difference between the inner rounds and the outer rounds? Inner round refers to the passage of living beings, from one globe to another globe within the circuit of 7 globes. The inner round refers to the passage of living beings from globe to globe within the circuit of 7 globes of a planetary chain. That is, life wave traveling from A to D globes on the descending arc, and from D to G, the globes in the ascending arc. You know the picture which is usually depicted. So he is talking about that. And the outer rounds refers to much bigger thing. The monad moving from one planetary chain to another planetary chain. Outer rounds refers to the monad moving from one planetary chain to another planetary chain, or the outer circle. Say, for example, I'm saying from the moon chain to the earth chain. That's the outer one. So this is what we have to briefly understand about the inner and outer referred in this letter, which perhaps Sinnet had no business to talk about it, but then he talked, and so Master also is referring to that. Avalokiteshvara, again, this is one term which we get to hear a number of times, is a Buddhist deity and Bodhisattva, or Buddha to be. Buddha he would become. So who embodies compassion and mercy. This is Avalokiteshvara. Bodhisattva, who is on the path. Bodhisattva means, again, somebody may say, what is Bodhisattva? Bodhisattva means one who is on the path of Bodhi or Buddhahood. Bodh means wisdom. So we have completed letter number 82 and moving towards letter number 83. Yeah. We refer to the reader's guide again for general information which is there about letter number 83. This reader's guide to the Mahatma letters has been written by George E. Linton and Mrs. Virginia Hanson. That book says letter number 83 is written by Master K.H. on 3 sheets. The other one, 82, was on 6 sheets of paper on both sides. This is written on 3 sheets. So it's a smaller letter comparatively. On white paper, but the letter is written using blue ink and green ink. Even there, the same change of inks was noticed in letter number 82. And this was received by Mr. Sinnet in September 83, but Sinnet says, I got it on October 8th. This is the information given by that book. And the general comment of that book is, the letter sounds the death knell of the Phoenix venture. The Phoenix, the newspaper which he wanted to start. So the letter sounds a death knell, means a closure. It means something which is equivalent to death or the bell of death to the Phoenix venture, and the discussion has come to an end. AP Sinnet at that time was still in London. And in page 390 of the Parker book edition, that's dealing with the replies to Mr. Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, which have reference to a long series of articles which appeared in the Theosophist as replies to British fellow Theosophical Society or students. They were replies to Myers. His initials are F.W.H. Myers, an English scientist and who was a member of the Psychological Research Society. Master M, it is said, gave very good importance to these replies. Master M, it is said, gave very good importance to these replies. HPB was not quite happy about using so much space in the magazine, The Theosophist. He was not quite happy about it. Right. Replies were printed at length, she felt. HPB felt. The postscript of the letter, this is also a comment which is there in the book, guidebook, indicates that the older letters, the earlier letters, had been transmitted through Madame Blavatsky. But later on, it was found and decided that there was need that these letters should go through either Alcott or Mr. D.K. Maulanka. This is what that guidebook says, right? In the opening of the letter number 83, we are coming to proper letter as such. In the opening of the letter number 83, Master tells Mr. Sinnet that he was quite busy. That's why perhaps he couldn't reply or he couldn't attach immediately, pay attention immediately to what he was saying. He could gather by going through the letter of Mr. Sinnet that Sinnet understood his situation, understood the situation of the master, that he was busy. Master gave a cable to SINNET to either accept or reject the investment proposals coming anywhere from India, not just Bihar, anywhere from India. You can accept it, examine it, and accept if you like. That's what Master has given a cable or a telegram. AP SINNET said in his letter of August 16th, he wrote a letter to Master that he will not support the Bengal rent bill as wanted by the Master. AP SINNET felt it was the request of the Master that if he is accepting the investment, that he should support the farmers and oppose the Bengal rent bill. So he will not oppose the Bengal rent bill. He will not support the farmers, is what SINNET is saying. AP SINNET felt such a stand of supporting the farmers and oppose the bill will ruin the prospects of commercial success of Phoenix. And SINNET felt Phoenix will not have any political weight because the paper is opposing the government stand, as it will cease to be a commercially viable proposition. This is what SINNET is commenting or writing in that letter of 16th. He says, I will not be able to support the farmers. I will not be able to oppose the bill. So it's not a commercially viable proposition if I take the other stand of supporting the farmers and opposing the bill. SINNET says a lot of money of investors will be wasted if we persist with the idea of Phoenix. This is what SINNET is saying. A lot of money of investors will be wasted if we persist with the idea of Phoenix. If Master KH wishes, which he will never wish, he will never force the person who is working with him. If Master KH wishes, SINNET would plunge in, that means he will take up the work and accept the moral responsibility and swallow the bitter pill, or rather the forceful acceptance of word or pledge. So he says, I will do all this if you wish. But then Master has been saying continuously, you decide, I don't decide for you. This is what the other gentleman, SINNET, is trying to put the ball in Master's court. Master KH says, SINNET need not do anything of that sort of accepting the moral responsibility for the eventual failure of Phoenix. Master says, having given you the options in the previous letter, the letter which you have considered already, 82, it is up to you, and it is entirely based on your judgment. SINNET has to decide. Master says he has nothing to do with that subject of Phoenix. That's what Master is saying. I have nothing to do with that paper. You have to decide what you want to do with it. Master KH says, neither you have understood the letter which I have written. He is talking about letter number 82, and not quite understood the law of karma. I can't force you to act when you feel you can't support the farmers and oppose the Bengal rent bill. Knowing you, Master says, you have repulsion to do that work because the farmers, they come from a humble background, a low background. So being a European with a stiff upper lip, he would not like to support the poor farmers. So that's what Master is saying. Master says, you have repulsion to do that work of supporting poor farmers. For a European to support poor farmers, it is not possible at all. And so I don't expect it from your side. So this is what Master is saying. Master says, a refusal of offer should come from you. I don't do it. Master says, a refusal of offer of investment should come from you. I took a decision to support and work with you, and I have pledged to Chauhan that I will not collaborate. This is a later development. He is informing Mr. SINNET. I have pledged to Chauhan that I will not collaborate with an European until sometime in future when circumstances may indeed be favorable. So he has had a bit of tough time because he took the permission of Chauhan, and Chauhan also said, yes, the paper could go through and all that. So they went supporting the paper. But then now he is saying, I will not collaborate with another European until sometime in future when circumstances may indeed be favorable. So I will not do it in the near future, is what Master is saying. This whole thing goes to my karma. So I have done this, I have accepted it, I have done this. So this whole thing goes to my karma, says Master KH. And having gone through with you, having walked with you, all that I had to do, I feel the phoenix has only a shadow of possibility of financial success. It will not succeed because you yourself are not quite sure about it. And so it may not succeed. It is bound to fail, says the Master. Because ab initio, the foundation is not right. Master says, as it was for a worthy cause, I was permitted to watch the project. To watch the project, mind you. As it was for a worthy cause of working for India and working for the poor farmers, I was permitted to watch the project as there was a good possibility of its success at that point of time. Now, I would withdraw the slightest appearance of constraint or force or condition I placed on you to do the work for India. So I have asked you to work for India. I have asked you to work for the farmers. I would remove all that. I would withdraw the slightest appearance of constraint I placed on you to do the work for India, says Master. So as regards karma, I don't have the power. He is informing Mr. SINNET. As regards karma, I don't have the power to compensate your losing of social prestige or face the financial disappointments. I can't do anything in that. That's your outlook or your karma you have to face. So I can't compensate your losing of social prestige or face the financial disappointments. Master is quoting from the letter of SINNET and says, you say you were like a blackguard, a lowly person who is assigned to guard the gate. You say you don't have any political weight to impress the society at large or the government through the paper, the new paper which was supposed to come. Master says, if it was so designed, had it been that you would have to work with us, if it was so decided or it was so planned or it was so arranged that you would work with us, if that was there in your lot, if it was there in your lot means in your karma or in your fate, destiny, or in your karma, all these observations of yours will not matter. So you have been saying my personal name is going, my financial position might suffer and all that. All these observations of yours will not matter because it was not perhaps decided that we will work together on this project. You would have to work. Suppose it was written that we will have to work together. Perhaps then the karma would have been rearranged or karma would have been different. But in the light of we are not working together, the observations of yours will not matter, says Master KH. Master says, whether it is Chauhan or Chela. See this is another beautiful sentence which we need to carry in our heart. Whether it is Chauhan or Chela, we're all obligated workers. Master says, whether it is a Chauhan or a Chela, we're all obligated workers, means people who have taken an obligation or a promise to work. And what we have to consider is whether we can do good to our neighbor, even if that person would be belonging to a humble background. I don't know why this girl come now. We're all obligated workers, and what we have to consider is whether we can do good to our neighbor, especially if that person is belonging to a humble background. So we don't think of insults, abuse, and injustice. See, this is what Master is saying, we don't think of insults, abuse, and injustice, and we believe in only helping. And while helping such a neighbor, we don't think of, we don't even dream of, or we're not even permitted to think of insult, abuse, and injustice. So we simply have to work, that's all. That is what we are meant to be. We may get, while helping such a neighbor, a difficult situation, it is for us to face. Master says, we are ready to be spat and crucified on a daily basis. Master is saying, we are ready to be spat, spitting and spatting, and crucified on daily basis if our work really helps a poor neighbor. So Master says, you have your compulsions, because he talked about his limitations. Senate talked about his limitations of knowledge, his prestige, social position, etc. So Master says, you have your compulsions. This is the word used by Senate, so he is repeating the word. You want to be more practical in the world to which you belong. You would like to be noticed as a person with some name and fame. So you want to be practical in the world to which you belong. And you have your path to tread and face the world. So your personal standing should not get jeopardized or compromised is what you look to. So that's your consideration, that's your compulsion. So you carry on, do what you think is right. So you don't have to compromise or jeopardize your personal standing in the society, says Master. Master further says, we also have to be just to the investors who are wanting to invest as they revere and they have love for their mother country. Some of the investors, some are very poor, very small, who are subscribing small sums of money. They're joining because they respect the country. They love the country. At least 50 such investors are waiting to see what will happen. Devoted theosophists all over India are actively soliciting investments. This is what Master is talking about. Maybe they are looking at profits because the people who are investing will look at profits. They may earn based on the financial advice of Morgan's recommendations. Morgan, the name is mentioned in the letter. I think they are legal advisors and financial advisors. So they're perhaps looking at profits that they may earn out of the investment. And Colonel Alcott, Colonel Gordon, Narendra Babu, others known or perhaps unknown to you, are campaigning for this project. This is what Master is informing Mr. SINNET. Though it's all over, he's simply recalling how, where help is likely to come. Master KH says to SINNET, the financial disaster you are anticipating, the whole thing would work against you and the personal influence will suffer if Phoenix paper supports the farmers and opposes the Bengal rent bill, is your observation and your conclusion. Master says to SINNET, if the paper will be a bad idea and it will be a losing proposition, even Mr. Allen is perhaps one of the advisors to investors. Even Mr. Allen permits your supporter, Mr. Dare, will not care to help you with funds. Master says to SINNET that you, meaning SINNET, have no such blind faith in me. So you still go by your instinct of prudence and will not risk your hard-earned money or capital. And you would like to lose in an investment which is a losing proposition. So you won't also recommend to anyone else to lose their money through investing in Phoenix. So, you know, you are not going to work for it. You will not also support others to invest money. So I know nothing is going to happen from your side too. Master says to SINNET that you want a miracle to see that project becomes a success. This is what SINNET is perhaps expecting. Master says to SINNET that you want a miracle to see the project becomes a success. If that has been permitted, if that sort of a miracle has been permitted by our order, the paper would have already come into existence. So that's not the case. Master says he could have used a stronger language if he wanted to close the matter and affair. Affair means this correspondence. But that would be interfering with your free will. He says, I don't want to get into the area where you have to decide. I don't want to interfere with your free will. The Bihari investors should be given a chance by you to state their condition for investment, and then you could have said yes or no to the proposal. But he didn't exercise that option. To save time, Colonel Alcott has been asked by us to send the proposals of Bihar and Bengal to Narendra Babu, who lives in Calcutta. He will get to know your views and decide to place the proposals before the legal advisors and the financial advisors. If in the event of not investing, Mr. Narendra Babu will communicate that decision to you or your solicitors. Right. Master says the present situation is very bad for India. We don't want to talk about the after effects of the period or forecast the future, says Master. Master KH is cautious. Black clouds are gathering on the political sky, says the Master. There are going to be more disturbing moments, says the Master. There are going to be more disturbing moments. Black clouds are gathering on the political sky is one comment. And there are going to be more disturbing moments, says the Master. The project is meeting its end due to seen and unforeseen influences of hostile nature. This is what Master is saying. There are a lot of seen and unseen forces which have worked against this project. So the project is meeting its end or death due to seen and unforeseen influences of hostile nature, says Master. So Master says he wants to close the letter on a pleasant note. All this perhaps was a bit terse. The language was a bit tough. So now he says, I would like to close it on a pleasant note. The decision to follow my lead in the Phoenix matter, you have reaped the reward of the karma. Since you decided that you would consider the proposal, even that decision to consider the proposal, you have earned the reward of the karma, says the Master. Though this is not a test, don't imagine this is going to be a test or this will be a test for your chelarship. This is not. You are as good as tested. The test which is not related to your chelarship, this test, you are as good as tested. You were not scared or was not afraid. So the direction of not having to communicate with you. So we have a direction that I should not communicate with you. I should part with you. This direction, I'm going to relax it a bit. That's what he's saying, because he has got the permission from the top. The direction of not having to communicate with you in future has been partially revoked, says the Master. With other Europeans, of course, there will be strictly no communication with them. In your case, the restriction is partially removed. So you will not be as free as he used to be, but partially it is removed. This consent of the order, all this is because of the order deciding the inner government of the Great White Brotherhood to keep the link on with you. That is the order. That is because of the great sacrifice you have had of your personal feelings and this set of circumstances. There is a word used, feeling, P-E-L-I-N-G. I think it is referring to the set of circumstances have resulted in redeeming qualities that were noticeable in you. So Master says to SINNET, don't think this is the last test for your probation. He is always anxious to see whether he's through with his probation. That's the SINNET's way of looking at things. Anything he takes it as a test for chelarship. So Master is cautioning, don't think this is the last test for your probation. You create these tests. All these things have come because you have designed it or you have wished for it. I don't create these tests. The struggle you undertake to seek light and wisdom in these times of world going through darker circumstances and influences are appearing as tests. What is appearing as test? The struggle you are undertaking to seek light and wisdom in these times of the world going through a darker circumstances and influences are appearing as tests. All are as per your design. Be careful as to what you say on forbidden topics. So he has talked about various topics in that August 16th letter. So he's saying, Master is cautioning, be careful as to what you should say on forbidden topics. You should not say certain things about forbidden topics. Master says to SINNET. The eighth sphere, mystery, is a very confidential one. Obviously, SINNET has talked about it. The eighth sphere, mystery, is a very confidential one in nature. You are yet to understand even the general aspects of the subject, and you are warned, says the Master. You don't even know the rudiments, but you're talking about the eighth sphere, which is very confidential. So you are warned, says the Master. You shouldn't have mentioned it, and unintentionally you have ridiculed the solemn matter by mentioning it in your letter. You have ridiculed the solemn matter, the poignant matter, by mentioning it in your letter. Master says, I have nothing to do with the replies which are addressed to Mr. Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, but you may recognize the brusque, blunt influence of Master M there. So then I have nothing to do with those replies. It is all M who has done it. So you must perhaps recognize the brusque way of answering and the blunt way of answering of Master N. So we have come to the end of letter number 83 too. And have I taken 2 or 3 minutes extra? I do not know. Thank you.
Swaji, Sushmaji, kindly unmute.
जी, okay, sir.
You can now.
Sir, thank you, brother. We have benefited a lot for your most insightful observation and presentation on these letters. Now I request Meenakshi ji for Hindi translation.
नमस्ते, थैंक यू सिस्टर, थैंक यू ब्रदर कृष्णा जी। आज हम क्रोनोलॉजिकल लेटर नंबर 113 और 114 ले रहे हैं। लेटर नंबर 113 में मास्टर कहते हैं सिनेट से कि फ्रेंड एंड ब्रदर, आपकी रेस के आप एकमात्र ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जिन्हें मैं सच्चे हृदय से मानता हूँ। आप अपना ख्याल रखें, मेरी चेतावनी को नजरअंदाज न करें, क्योंकि यह एक गंभीर चेतावनी है और यह एक संकेत मात्र है जिसे देने की मुझे अनुमति है। राजनीतिक सावधान रहे, क्योंकि यह अब एक साधारण गड्ढा नहीं है, बल्कि एक खाई है जो आपके लिए तैयार की जा रही है। चूंकि यह पाया गया है कि जमींदारों ने अपने एग्रीमेंट की पूर्ति नहीं की है, इसलिए दूसरे पक्ष को उनके दस्तखत को हटाकर परपेचुअल सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट के चिथड़े उड़ाने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है। मैं उन बिल्स के अप्रचलित खामियों पर चर्चा नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन केवल यह कहूंगा कि ऐसी खामियां हैं और जब तक उन्हें सुधारित नहीं किया जाता है तब तक आपको उन पर आपत्ति करने का पूरा अधिकार है। आपसे यह अपेक्षा नहीं की जाती है कि आप बिल को वापस लेने का काम करें, बल्कि केवल जमींदारों द्वारा इसके त्रुटियों के विश्लेषण का समर्थन करें, और यह आप स्वखुशी से वादा कर सकते हैं। हालांकि मुझे आपको किसी भी तरह से प्रभावित करने की कोशिश नहीं करनी चाहिए। जमींदारों के कुछ दावे अच्छे नहीं हैं और किसी भी सच्चे व्यक्ति से उनका समर्थन नहीं करवाया जा सकता, जबकि अन्य दावे ठोस कानूनी आधार के बिना नहीं। कुछ ही दिनों में आपको औपचारिक प्रस्ताव मिल सकता है, उस पर अच्छी तरह से विचार करें। मेरी इच्छा के मद्देनजर किसी भी विचार से स्वयं को प्रभावित न होने दें। यदि आप सच में यह मानते हैं कि यह प्रस्ताव आपकी यूरोपीय धारणाओं और सत्य और सम्मान की कसौटी के साथ असंगत है, तो बिना किसी हिचकिचाहट के इसे अस्वीकार करें और मुझे आपको एक दुखदपूर्ण, हालांकि हमेशा आभारपूर्ण और मैत्रीपूर्ण विदाई देने दें। मैं आपको परिस्थिति को अपने दृष्टिकोण से देखने की उम्मीद नहीं कर सकता। आप बहिरंग देखते हैं और मैं अंतरंग देखता हूँ। यह भावुकता का समय नहीं है। जहां तक महाचौहान मुझे अनुमति देंगे, मैं अपने देश के इस संकट काल में मदद करने के लिए अपनी संपूर्ण शक्तियां समर्पित करने के लिए तैयार हूँ। जो लोग हमारे साथ काम करने के लिए तैयार हैं, उनके अलावा किसी के साथ मैं काम नहीं कर सकता। मुझ पर आरोप न लगाए मित्र, क्योंकि आप नहीं जानते और नहीं जान सकेंगे कि मैं कितने सीमित दायरे के अंतर्गत हूँ। मेरे सर्वस्व के लिए जिनका मैं ऋणी हूँ, उनके प्रति मैंने शब्द दिया है और जानता हूँ कि यदि आप मना करते हैं तो मुझे खेद के साथ आपसे जुदा होना होगा। अगर रेंट बिल सहित इल्बर्ट बिल और अवमाननाओं के मामले का शोरगुल और संघर्ष न होता, तो मैं आपको मना करने की सलाह देने वाला सर्वप्रथम होता। हालांकि अभी जैसी परिस्थितियां हैं और मुझे सामान्य शक्ति के अलावा किसी भी शक्ति का उपयोग करने की मनाही है, मैं दोनों ही करने में असमर्थ हूँ और मुझे अपनी असहाय मातृभूमि की मदद करने और हमारे बीच के होने वाले संबंध के बीच चुनने के लिए मैं बाध्य हूँ। और यदि यह पत्र मेरा अंतिम पत्र होता है, तो मैं आपसे मेरे लिए नहीं बल्कि आपके लिए उस संदेश को याद रखने की विनती करता हूँ जिसे मैंने HPB के माध्यम से शिमला में आपको और मिस्टर ह्यूम को भेजा था। वह संदेश इस तरह है कि लॉर्ड रिपन एक फ्री एजेंट नहीं है। भारत का असली वायसरॉय और शासक शिमला में नहीं बल्कि रोम में। आपकी पत्नी और बेटे को मेरे शुभाशीर्वाद दे। कुछ समझ में न आने वाली गलतियों और कमियों के बावजूद आपका एसोटेरिक बुद्धिज्म चाहे अधूरा ही क्यों न हो, लेकिन हमारे गुह्य शास्त्रों का एकमात्र सही विवरण है। आपने कोई खास मूलभूत गलतियां नहीं की है और जो कुछ भी आपको आगे दिया जाएगा वह आपकी किताब के एक भी वाक्य से असहमत नहीं होगा, बल्कि किसी भी विरोधाभास को स्पष्ट करेगा। मिस्टर ह्यूम की थियोरी कितनी गलत थी, यह थियोसॉफिस्ट में एक चेला द्वारा दर्शाया गया है। इस तरह आपको यकीन हो सकता है कि न तो मास्टर एम और न ही मैंने अपने अपने स्टेटमेंट्स में एक दूसरे का खंडन नहीं किया है। वे इनर राउंड की बात कर रहे थे और मैं आउटर राउंड की बात कर रहा हूँ। ऐसी कई बातें हैं जो आपने सीखी नहीं है, लेकिन किसी दिन सीख सकते हैं, और न ही आप कभी भी ऑब्स्क्यूरेशन की प्रक्रिया को समझ पाओगे जब तक कि आप इनर और आउटर राउंड्स की मैथमेटिकल प्रोग्रेशन में महारत नहीं होते और 7 राउंड्स के बीच विशिष्ट अंतर के बारे में अधिक नहीं जान लेते हैं। और इस प्रकार मिस्टर मेसी के दार्शनिक निष्कर्ष के अनुसार हमारे कोई ईश्वर नहीं है। वे सही है क्योंकि वे ईश्वर शब्द को एक्स्ट्रा कॉस्मिक एनोमली पर लागू करते हैं, जिसके बारे में हम कुछ भी नहीं जानते हुए प्रत्येक व्यक्ति के भीतर अपने व्यक्तिगत ईश्वर को पाते हैं और साथ ही निर्वैयक्तिक अवलोकित ईश्वर पाते हैं। आखिर में मास्टर कहते हैं कि अब अलविदा, और यदि यह तय हो जाता है कि हमें आगे पत्र व्यवहार नहीं करना चाहिए, तब मुझे उसी सच्चे मनोभाव से याद रखें जैसे कि आपको हमेशा मेरे द्वारा याद रखा जाएगा। अगला पत्र है क्रोनोलॉजिकल लेटर नंबर 114। मास्टर कहते हैं कि कुछ जरूरी कार्य के कारण कुछ दिनों के लिए मैं आपके कार्यों के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं जान पाया, और आज मुझे उनके बारे में सोचने का मौका मिला है। यह आपके मन से किसी भी तरह की नैतिक या अन्य किसी विवशता की भावना को दूर करने के उद्देश्य से था, और आपको भारत के किसी भी कोने से आने वाले प्रस्तावों को स्वीकार करने या अस्वीकार करने के लिए आपके विकल्प पर छोड़ देने के उद्देश्य से था। बंगाल रेंट बिल की बहस से प्रस्तावित वृत्तपत्र फोनिक्स की व्यावसायिक रूप से सफलता की संभावना नहीं रहेगी, ऐसा आपका मानना है। आप कहते हैं कि द फोनिक्स कैन नॉट पॉसिबली एज नाउ डिजाइन प्रूव अ कमर्शियल सक्सेस, और एक वृत्तपत्र जो व्यावसायिक रूप से असफल है उसका राजनीतिक महत्व बहुत ही कम हो सकता है, ऐसा आपका मानना है। आपके मतानुसार इस योजना पर कायम रहना यानी कई लोगों की बड़ी रकम को व्यर्थ नष्ट करने जैसा होगा, क्योंकि ऐसे बिगड़े हुए प्रोजेक्ट में भरपूर वित्तीय सहायता की संभावना न के बराबर होगी। फिर भी इन सब के बावजूद यदि मैं चाहूँ तो आप आगे बढ़ने के लिए तैयार हैं, तो कर्तव्य परायणता मुझ पर डाल दे और अप्रिय प्रतिज्ञा को भूल जाए। मेरे मित्र, आप ऐसा कुछ नहीं करोगे। मैं जो कुछ भी कर सकता था और करने के लिए तत्पर हूँ, उसके बावजूद जिम्मेदारी आप पर ही आएगी, क्योंकि आपको मेरे पिछले पत्र में स्पष्टतः विकल्प दिया गया है। इसके बाद यदि आपको इस अभागे प्रोजेक्ट से कोई लेना देना है, तो यह पूर्णतः आपके निर्णय और जिम्मेदारी पर निर्भर होगा। अब आपने कर्म के नियम और मेरे पत्र को भी ठीक से समझा नहीं है। आपको जानते हुए इस परियोजना के प्रति आपके विकर्षण का पूर्वानुमान लगाना आसान था। आपके इनकार की संभावना थी, जैसे कि चौहान को दिए गए मेरे वचन के अनुसार मैं भविष्य में अनुकूल समय आने तक यूरोपीय लोगों के साथ सहकार्य नहीं करूंगा। यही वह बात थी जिसने आपको किसी भी बात से ज्यादा अप्रिय प्रतिज्ञा को भूलने के लिए प्रेरित किया। यह मेरा कर्म है। मेरे देशवासियों के निराशाजनक नैतिक स्थिति के बावजूद मुझे यह उम्मीद थी, और मैंने स्वयं को लगभग यह मानने के लिए मजबूर किया कि इस महान संकट काल में एक वृत्तपत्र शुरू करने की निश्चित ही आवश्यकता है। कर्म के संबंध में हमारे संघ के नियम के अलावा मैं आपको ऐसी स्थिति में लाने के लिए बिल्कुल अनिच्छुक हूँ जहां मैं आपको सामाजिक प्रतिष्ठा की क्षति या वित्तीय निराशा के लिए किसी भी तरह से मुआवजा न दे सकूं। ऐसा करना मेरे वश में नहीं है। ऐसा करना मेरे अधिकार के परे है। यदि आपको हर समय यह लगता है कि आपको निरुपयोगी से ज्यादा कुछ समझा नहीं जाता है और प्रतिष्ठा के तौर पर सोसाइटी में खास अहमियत नहीं है, तब मैं आपकी ओर ध्यान नहीं दे सकता। यदि आपका भाग्य भी हमारे भाग्य से जुड़ा होता, तब भी ऐसी बातों को एक पल के लिए भी महत्व नहीं होता। सभी के लिए, चाहे चौहान हो या चेला हो, जो हमारे बीच कर्तव्यनिष्ठ कार्य करता है, उनमें पहला और अंतिम विचार यह होता है कि क्या हम अपने पड़ोसी के साथ भला कर सकते हैं, भले ही वह कितना भी नाचीज क्यों न हो, और न ही हम अपने आप को किसी भी अपमान, दुर्व्यवहार या अन्याय के खतरे के बारे में सोचने की अनुमति देते हैं। यदि किसी का वास्तव में भला हो सके तो हम एक बार नहीं बल्कि प्रतिदिन लानत सहन करने और सूली पर चढ़ने के लिए तैयार है। लेकिन आपका मामला बिल्कुल ही अलग है। आपको व्यवहारिक जगत में मार्गक्रमण करना है और आपकी प्रतिष्ठा को जोखिम में नहीं डाला जाना चाहिए। फिर आपके अलावा धनराशि में योगदान करने वालों के साथ न्यायपूर्ण व्यवहार किया जाना चाहिए। उनमें धनी जमींदार है लेकिन साथ ही गरीब देशभक्त भी है जिन्होंने हमारे प्रति श्रद्धा और मातृभूमि के प्रति प्रेम से अपनी छोटी रकम दान करने के लिए बहुत मेहनत की है। कम से कम 50 ऐसे लोग हैं जो घटनाओं को कार्यान्वित होने की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं और कलकत्ता में अपनी धनराशि भेजने से पहले अंतिम क्षण तक अपने धन का किफायत से उपयोग कर रहे हैं। भारत के विभिन्न भागों में समर्पित थियोसॉफिस्ट मिस्टर मॉर्गन के सर्कुलर में उल्लिखित संभावित धन लाभ की दृष्टि से चंदा देने के लिए आग्रह कर रहे हैं। इस प्रोजेक्ट की ऑलकॉट, कर्नल गॉर्डन, नरेंद्र और आपको ज्ञात और अज्ञात अन्य लोगों द्वारा गर्मजोशी से हिमायत की गई है। फोनिक्स वृत्तपत्र के आर्थिक संकट का आपका जिस तरह का अंदाज है वह सभी के व्यक्तिगत प्रभाव से निपट जाएगा। इसके अलावा ऐसी संभावनाओं के साथ आपके पूर्व सहायक मिस्टर डेयर आपकी मदद करना नहीं चाहेंगे। और अंत में, जब तक कि आपका मुझ पर इतना अधिक विश्वास नहीं होता कि अपने विवेक का अंतिम कतरा भी खत्म हो जाए, आप अपनी मेहनत से अर्जित पूंजी को एक पूर्व निर्धारित विफलता की जोखिम में नहीं डालेंगे और अपने विवेक बुद्धि से किसी और को ऐसा करने नहीं देंगे जब तक कि आपको नैतिक जिम्मेदारी मुझ पर डालने की अनुमति न दी जाए। संक्षेप में, सफलता मेरे द्वारा चमत्कारिक रूप से जबरदस्ती लाना यदि ऐसा संभव है। मैं इस पत्र को अधिक दृढ़ता पूर्वक पेश करता, लेकिन आपको यह मामला छोड़ने के लिए कहकर आपके फ्री विल को अवरुद्ध करने की जिम्मेदारी पुनः लेनी होगी। बंगाल की पार्टी को अपने शर्तों को सुनिश्चित रूप से और आखिरी बार बताने का मौका दे और फिर उसके बाद हाँ या ना में उत्तर दे। ऐसा करना ठीक होगा। आपका समय और खर्च बचाने के लिए मैंने ऑलकॉट से कहा कि वे नरेंद्र बाबू को भूमि धारकों के प्रस्ताव भेजे ताकि वे तुरंत आपके विचारों को और स्वभाव को जानते हुए बता सके कि वे आपके समक्ष रखने योग्य है या नहीं। नहीं मैं भविष्यवाणी कर सकता हूँ, सिवाय इसके कि राजनीति में छा रहे काले बादलों की ओर आपका ध्यान पहले से कहीं अधिक आकर्षित करूं। पत्र के समापन से पहले मास्टर कहते हैं कि एक सुखकर बात सुने कि फोनिक्स मामले में मेरा साथ देने का आपका निर्णय भले ही आपके लिए निश्चित रूप से सामाजिक और तौर पर अप्रतिष्ठित और आर्थिक हानिकर था, उससे पहले ही उस कर्म का फल दे चुका है। यद्यपि कोई परीक्षण नहीं था, फिर भी आप परीक्षण के पात्र थे और आप डरे नहीं। हमारे बीच का संबंध आंशिक रूप से रद्द दिया है। अन्य यूरोपीय लोगों के संबंध में निषेध पहले जैसा ही सख्त है। आपके लिए नहीं, आपका महान बलिदान है। आप जैसे बाहरी पेलिंग में मुक्ति के गुण हैं, लेकिन सावधान रहे, यह आपकी अंतिम परीक्षा नहीं है। यह मैं नहीं बल्कि आप स्वयं लेते हैं। दुनिया के अंधकारमय प्रभावों के खिलाफ प्रकाश और सत्य के लिए आपके संघर्ष के द्वारा यह परीक्षा है। निषिद्ध विषयों के बारे में सावधान रहे। एक स्फीयर गोपनीय विषय है और इसे आप सामान्यतः भी समझने के दूर है और आपको बार बार चेतावनी दी गई है। अनजाने में आपने एक गंभीर विषय का उपहास उड़ाया है। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Kindly open your video, please.
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for your excellent translation. Now the forum is open for discussion. Participants can ask questions, or if they want to add, they are most welcome. Now forum is open. for discussion. Participant can ask question from a speaker, and if they want to add something, they are most welcome. Shinde sir, do you want to say something? Pradeep sir?
Krishna sir, there is a inner round and outer round.
Ji.
There is a some word mentioning this about 7. Master the mathematical progress of inner and the outer rounds. Learn more about specific difference between the 7. What does it mean 7 here?
The 7 globes, the 7 globes you see in the textbooks,
Yes,
and
yes.
one coming down the descending order and one going the ascending order. And see, this is one thing which we are talking about. There is another thing from one planet to another planetary chain, one planetary chain to another planetary chain. I said I gave an example. For
Yes,
us,
yes.
Moon is a dead planet. From Moon, suppose we're going to Earth. That's the other change which he's talking about. Unless we crack this 7, unless we understand the significance of 7 and 7 rounds and all these things, everything is 7, no?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that 7, unless you understand the mystery behind 7, you'll not be able to. Why it is 7 into 7, 49, all those things you should be able to follow very clearly if you want to understand and talk casually about it. You cannot talk very casually about it. So you were perhaps very general about it, is what he was saying. So inner and outer, the clear difference is the person being
Yes.
I'll just open this small note which I made elsewhere. Yeah. So inner round, again I'm reading. I'm not getting into the great details. We have that picture which is coming in every textbook of theosophy. Inner round refers to the passage of living beings from one globe to another globe. Within means that is the inner, and the circuit of 7 globes of a planetary chain. So life wave traveling from A to D in descending order, and then D to G in the ascending order, ascending arc. This is one thing which is called the inner round, and the outer round which is suggested is the monad, or the living being, or the person who is living, moving from one planetary chain to another planetary chain, the outer circle. That is the bigger shift from the one globe to another globe in one planetary chain. This is moving from one planetary chain to another planetary chain. So this is the outer. So it looks as though we have contradicted each other, but then we are talking about 2 different things, which you didn't understand, is what Master was trying to explain to SINNET.
Okay.
That 7, even Madam says, if somebody cracks that 7, he will know so many secrets. Even the secret doctrine, she talks about, if you crack the mystic 7, there are so many things which will come out of it. So one has to be very careful and analyze, understand with deep contemplation, meditation, what this 7 is all about. So that's what is perhaps the crux of the matter. We have to be very, very patient. We can't immediately know what is 7. 7 normally in the numerological pattern of the Indian understanding is 7 is not a good number. But then Masonically seeing, 7 is a complete number.
Yes.
7 is a complete number. So there are a lot of things like this. And 7, which is so many places it is mentioned in our literature, is something which we need to very carefully understand, and perhaps we cannot comment so casually about it. We have to talk. And the mathematical progression is that the shift from the A chain to the bigger change, inner to outer, that's it is not going by 2, 3, 4 like that, but it is going from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16 like that. That is the mathematical progression. So one has to be fully aware of that. That's what Master is suggesting.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. You have thrown light very clearly on this topic. Thank you again. Now, can we close the meeting?
Now someone
Want to ask question?
Madhavji, your Madhav Sharma is hello. Madhavji, you want to ask anything? Madhav Sharma, please unmute yourself. No. Not he is able to unmute.
Even though this is very ordinary thing which I'm talking about, I changed the name from Krishna Chakravarti to NC Krishna, but still it is coming as Krishna Chakravarti. I don't know why. I changed the name. Can somebody like Lakshmi Shah do it for me?
Okay, Sushmaji, we will close.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay,
Right,
sir.
right.
Okay. Thank you again, sir, for
Thank you.
your insightful talk. We have benefited a lot. Thank you again.
Right.
Asato ma satgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityor ma mritam gamay. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhnah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashchit dubhag bhavet. Shanti, shanti, shanti.